Hi, now most people's idea of starting at golf is getting down onto the driving range, getting their hands on one of these, a driver, and trying to hit the ball as far as possible. Now, I'm not going to deny that is great fun, but it's definitely not the best way to learn golf. Today, I'm going to talk about 7 things that I would do if I was starting golf this year. Hi, I'm Jeremy Dale. My channel, The Golfing Curriculum, deals with the 20 shots that you will need to get yourself round the course. We're going to talk about a way to learn them, and there's a playlist at the end where I talk through an actual beginner through all of these steps. He started as the club's worst golfer. He isn't now. There's plenty to talk about. Let's get into it right away. Now, you don't need me to tell you that golf's a pretty difficult game. So when you're starting out, the most difficult thing would be to take the longest club and make the longest swing. So I suggest you do the complete opposite. Take a putter and then a wedge and learn the shorter shots first and use them as building blocks. What I call this is learning the game from the hole backwards rather than the tee forward. So the first thing you need to do is learn how to putt, which incidentally is how the great Tiger Woods started. His father insisted that he learn how to putt and then it built up the game in bite-sized chunks. And I think you should do the same thing as well. I'll show you later on how to build up that swing, but the first thing you should do is get your hands on a putter. Now, you don't need to buy new. You can go on eBay. There's loads of really cheap equipment on eBay. And rule number 2 is do not buy a full set of golf clubs brand new. There's really no need. You can get a really affordable half set on eBay or just buy clubs individually. Start with a putter, then a wedge, then maybe a 7-iron and build up that way. You really only need 5 clubs to get round the course: a putter, a wedge, a 7-iron, a longer iron, maybe a 5-iron, and maybe a fairway wood like a 5 wood or something like that. And then you have everything you need. So don't invest too much, because as your swing develops, so will your swing speed, and you'll need different clubs. So if you invest too much too soon, then that might not be the best idea for you. So rule number 2, just get a half set like this, little pencil bag, and then you have enough to make a really good start. So rule number 3, let's get started on some of the techniques. Putting. They call it a game within a game, and you can learn an awful lot about golf from just being on the putting green. You can learn what par is, you can learn the pressure that some of the golfers are under when they face a 3-foot putt. You can also learn, and this may be the most important thing, rule number 3, speed and line are the only 2 things you need to get right with a putt. You need to hit the ball in the right direction. You also need to give it the right speed so it finishes near the hole if it misses. And 2 minutes on the putting green will show you, and this again is slightly counterintuitive, that speed is the more important of the 2. What we want is to get the first putt close, and then we can get the second putt in. So 2 putts would be, let's call it par on every green. If you can master that, then you are well ahead of most beginner golfers who will go on the course and take 3, 4, maybe even 5 putts. It's surprisingly difficult, well worth getting the hang of, but this idea of speed control is really important. And how we do it, if I'm going to give you one piece of advice on how to do it, it would be to move the putter, the arms and the shoulder in the arms and shoulders in a triangle, and move from the shoulders. Now, a little great drill. If I put the putter down, you can see if I clap my hands together, and my neck, you see, bend, tips over a little bit, then my shoulders can rock up and down. And what I don't do is any movement in the wrist. That adds speed that you don't want. And this is a great thing. And that tempo doesn't change, but the length of the swing does. This is a great way to get the distance. So short putt, short swing, longer putt, longer swing, and a really long putt, a really long swing, but the same tempo each time. If I was going to give you one bit of advice, it would be that. But 2 minutes on the putting green will convince you that speed control is way more important than line. Even on a short putt, there's a little slope on the green. The speed you hit it at will determine how much it turns on the slope. try it out. You'll see exactly what I mean, but this is a wonderful place to start, and then you can start to play 9 holes around the green and get the feel for what the game actually is. Now, once we've learned putting, we need to start getting the ball in the air, which brings us to rule number 4, which is slightly counterintuitive. I'm going to show you in the split screen an image of Scottie Scheffler, the world's #1 player, hitting an iron shot. And just at impact, can you see what happens? He hits the ball and then he hits the ground. Now, this is, if you like, the secret to hitting the ball in the air. What we need to do is hit the ball with a slightly descending blow. With a putter, we'd hit the ball with the putter traveling horizontally. With an iron, the club descends, hits the ball and hits the ground. Can you see it in the split screen? Do you notice what happens? There's a contact with the ball and the ball flies off, and then there's contact with the ground, which means we have contacted the ball on the downswing. So, counterintuitive it is. Hit down and the ball has a chance of going up. Have a look at what happens if you swing up. You know, the concept of, in most sports, you swing up, like tennis for example, because the ball's in the air, you swing up and the ball will go up. If you swing up in golf, it will do the absolute opposite. You'll either hit the ground before the ball, or you'll hit the top of the ball. So rule number 4, get this into your mind. It's super important. It doesn't matter whether it's a long shot or a short shot. We contact the ball with a descending blow. Hit down, it goes up. Now, I'm sure you noticed a divot on that shot that Scottie Scheffler hit. That is absolutely no problem at all. As long as we put the divot back and leave the course as we found it, then that is absolutely fine. Many golfers are a bit frightened to take a divot and damage the course. Don't worry, it's fine. Rule number 5 is let's start hitting down with a short shot. You can see here I'm making, if I start at 6 o'clock, I'm making like a 4 o'clock swing. And this is very similar to putting. You can think of chipping as lofted putting. I'm going to swing back from 4 o'clock here to 8 o'clock there. I'm not taking a divot because I'm on a green, of course, just now, but 4 o'clock here, 8 o'clock there. And then, if my weight is on my front foot and my stance is narrow, then I have a chance, as you'll see in the split screen, of getting the ball nicely in the air. I've got a pitching wedge here. What that will do is fly half and roll the same distance. So it'll be a 50-50 club. You can use other clubs to chip. This is not a comprehensive lesson on any part of the game. My channel, though, does contain exactly that. There are comprehensive lessons on chipping on the channel, and recommend that you follow up with those. But hit down and it goes up. Start with a short shot, learn how to chip first, and then we'll be ready to do one of the more important swings. Lengthen it ever so slightly to what I call 9 o'clock. See, that's a brilliant start to the swing because the club is horizontal and parallel, and I can do the same thing on the other side. Can you see how the swing is a kind of mirror image here? Again, more videos on this topic. If we do that, that is a great way to hit the ball, say 20 yards through the air in a controlled way and get the swing on the right path for the longer shots. So 9 o'clock here, horizontal and parallel. Make a real good effort to learn this shot as well. Now, rule number 6 is you've got to learn how to hold on to the club properly, especially when we start to lengthen the swing. Again, there are videos on my channel about this. Very briefly, you want to see the first 2.5 knuckles on the top hand, and the V must point to the trail shoulder, and then the V on this V here wants to point again to the trail shoulder here. That way, the palm of the bottom hand and the leading edge of the club, the bit that you want to aim with, facing in the same direction. So, like a tennis player, you get that feel that what you do with the palm, you also do with the club head. Gives you the chance of a straight shot. Get these things wrong, shots will disappear left and right, and you won't understand why. Again, there are videos on my channel about this. And one of the more important things as well is that we grip the club in the fingers. I think of it as a hammer grip, just like you'd grip on a hammer, so that you can use your wrist. Can you see what I'm doing with my wrist there? Because that is exactly how I'm going to lengthen the swing. I'm going to take my chipping swing. If I come a bit further away, you can probably see this better. I'm going to take my chipping swing to what I call 9 o'clock. Again, this is a fantastic rule. Can you see how the club shaft is there parallel to my target? I'm going to do the same thing on the other side, and then I'm going to lengthen it and create what I call the L. Then I'm on my way to creating the swish and the effortless power that you see when the pros swing, and a good golfer, your club will do the same thing. And you create that L here, and you can hear the club swishing through. The grip is a vital part of that. So to finish the swing, chipping would be this 9 o'clock swing. That'll be that. That's a great shot as well for a 20-yarder. Learn that. And then the L, and then you can see I'm up over my back shoulder, hands over my shoulder, made a full turn, and I can come back down on the same line and do the same thing on the other side. See how the swing is a bit of a mirror image, but without a good grip, none of that swing building is possible. So get that right from the start. Make it a priority. Again, it's super counterintuitive. You think, well, how I hold the club make such a difference? But trust me, it does. You never see a really good golfer with a bad grip, and you never see a really bad golfer with a good grip. Again, check out the videos on the channel. So I said earlier I wouldn't spend huge amounts of money on a full set. I wouldn't also spend huge amounts of money joining a club just yet either. Make sure that you enjoy the game, and most private clubs will welcome you as a green fee daily ticket player. There are also public courses as well. In the UK, you can get on a golf course for 20 to 30 pounds, which is great value if you consider that that's the price of a round of drinks at the pub, and you're on the course for 3.5 hours on a beautifully prepared course. So you can go out and play. Again, if you're nervous about going on the course for the first time, for example, then there are a few things that I would do. I would ring up before and ask at the pro shop when's a quiet time, so that you don't feel rushed by people playing quicker than you from behind, and that you've got plenty of time to look for balls, or just you will have more shots, so you'll play slightly slower than everybody else. So look for a quiet time in the evenings. You'll be amazed on the summer evenings how quiet a golf course can be. Or maybe start at a 9-hole par 3 course. That's a great way to get going as well. Don't worry about the rules. If your ball goes in a bunker, just throw it out and start again. If you lose a ball, just put one down where you think it was and play on. You're not there to make a score necessarily, although enjoy it when you do make a good score on a hole, of course, and enjoy that whole experience of being out there and using all of the shots. You'll very quickly see that you do need all of the shots. There's only 2 rules really. In the end, play quick enough to keep up with the group in front, and so you don't hold the whole course up. If you do find that happening, then simply step aside and wave the group up. All they want you to do is play quick enough. They don't care about your level, but they do care about being held up. The other thing is, leave the course as you found it. If your ball goes in a bunker, there's a rake there. Just make sure that the sand is raked. If you, as we mentioned earlier, take a divot, then make sure you put it back. I hope these ideas will help you get started in the right way. If you want to see more, then this playlist I'd recommend that you watch. It's about Matt, who started off as our club's worst golfer.